As construction on the Sisters of Nazareth convent began in 1855, some startling discoveries were made. Several very well-preserved structures were uncovered on top of each other and from different eras. Among them was the long-lost Church of the Nutrition. Here, supposedly, was where the Holy Family of St. Joseph, vegetarian, and Blessed St. Mary, vegetarian, once lived, and where Lord Jesus Christ had grown up. References to the childhood of Jesus can be found in various apocryphal writings, including the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, which is believed to have Gnostic origins dating to the 2nd century. Young Jesus is also mentioned in Gospel of Pseudo Matthew and the Syriac Infancy Gospel, which stems from Syriac sources dating to the 5th or 6th century. Once, a teacher named Zacchaeus approached Joseph, proposing to teach Jesus the alphabet. However, when Zacchaeus began reciting the letters from Alpha to Omega, Jesus surprised him by revealing a deeper understanding. Jesus turned to Zacchaeus and said,
"You do not comprehend the true nature of Alpha. How then can you instruct others about Beta?"
Zacchaeus replied,
"Woe is me! I strove to get me a disciple, and I'm found to have a master."
In this way, Jesus became the teacher to Zacchaeus. Overwhelmed by Jesus' profound knowledge and wisdom, Zacchaeus realized the unique nature of the child before him. He told to Joseph,
"I cannot endure the severity of his look. This young child is not earthly born. This is one that can tame even fire. Belike this is one begotten before the making of the world."
In one tale, Lord Jesus Christ assists his father in the family business with the construction of a bed for a customer. One of 2 beams of wood was found to be too short for the job. Young Jesus instructed Joseph to place the 2 pieces of wood side by side and align them. Then Jesus took hold of the shorter beam and stretched it right before his amazed father, who gave thanks to God for giving him such a son. When Jesus was 12 years old, his family traveled to Jerusalem for the Passover festival, as was customary. However, on their way back home, they inadvertently left Jesus behind in Jerusalem before realizing he was missing. After 3 days of searching, he was found in the temple courts. There, he sat among the teachers, listening and asking questions that left everyone amazed at his wisdom. Upon seeing Jesus, his parents were astonished and inquired why he had caused them such worry. Jesus asked,
"Why were you searching for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?"
Although the Sisters of Nazareth did report their findings to their superiors, their discoveries at the Sisters of Nazareth convent remained relatively unknown for more than 100 years. The nuns went about more immediate and practical tasks, such as running a school for local deaf and blind children, and they set up a small museum to display some of the artifacts that they had found at the site. Then, in 2006, Dr. Ken Dork, a leading archaeologist and professor from the United Kingdom, established the Nazareth Archaeological Project, commencing what would become a 5-year evaluation of what is, according to Dr. Dork, one of the first examples of an archaeological project directed by a woman. He praised the 19th century nuns of the Sisters of Nazareth convent in Schaeffer-Amr for conducting such valuable excavation work. The impeccable records they kept of their discoveries at the site were a key element in initiating this most recent excavation. In 2020, Dr. Dark published the book The Sisters of Nazareth Convent, concluding that the large church was indeed the Church of the Nutrition, the Byzantine-era church dedicated to the upbringing of Lord Jesus Christ, and most significantly that the crypt below it contained a central feature of 2 first-century tombs. On one side was an earlier cave church, and on the other, a courtyard house of an even earlier period. This is the hypothesized childhood home of Lord Jesus Christ. Dr. Dark claims not to be a biblical archaeologist and strictly adheres to the scientific principles of archaeology. As he and his fellow excavators carefully worked through the soil layers, he soon realized that the house was several centuries older than the church and its crypt. Dr. Dark also points out the fact that both Crusader and Byzantine-era churches were constructed over the site indicates that the early Christians considered it a place of great veneration.
Great efforts have been made to encompass the remains of this building within the vaulted cellars of both the Byzantine and Crusader churches, so that it was thereafter protected.
In the 7th century, a Scottish abbot, Saint Adamnan of Iona, wrote the Locus Sanctus, or Concerning Sacred Places, which was based on an account by a Frankish monk named Arculf, who kept a travelogue of his pilgrimage to the Holy Land. The saint noted his visits to 2 Byzantine-area churches in Nazareth, one being the Church of the Annunciation, just down the street, and the other the Church of the Nutrition. The description of the crypt, tombs, and cave church perfectly matched the excavations beneath the Sisters of Nazareth convent. Saint Adamnan solemnly reported that Arculf had stood where once there was the house in which the Lord was nourished in his infancy. A 4th century Galician nun and pilgrim, Egeria, also traveled through the Holy Land visiting Nazareth. In a letter to her sisters at home in Spain, Egeria mentioned a cave church complete with a water spring and well, which she believed to be the residence of the Blessed Saint Mary. Given the scarcity of springs in Nazareth and the fact that this is the sole 4th century cave church in the city situated at a location with a well, this also fits with the findings at the Sisters of Nazareth site. The house itself was built by cutting into an existing limestone hillside. Various household items were found. The presence of limestone utensils is particularly notable, such as cooking pots commonly used in ancient Jewish communities for reasons of purity, as much as being a readily available material. At the time of Lord Jesus Christ's sojourn on earth, Nazareth was a relatively undisturbed rural haven with a population of around 200 people. Nazareth was unlike many other Jewish communities of this period, which were being influenced by Roman and Greek cultures. Nazareth inhabitants were completely different from their neighbors just 6 kilometers away in Sepphoris. New archaeological evidence, analysis of agricultural practices in the Nazareth area have concluded that human manure was not used at that time in the production of crops, indicating that the Holy Family and other community members instead followed Essene practices. the Essenes did not in any way choose to obscure the divine light of God with their own excrement. The numerous remains of limestone vessels found throughout early Nazareth also strongly suggest that the community very much adhered to strict spiritual guidelines. The Essenes practiced meditation, were vegetarians, and lived a strictly spiritual purity lifestyle. By Christian tradition, Saint Joseph, Lord Jesus Christ, and his brothers are referred to as carpenters by trade. However, the original Greek word used in the scriptures is tekton, which also translates as builder. The large amount of well-preserved stonework discovered was a fundamental part of Lord Jesus Christ's childhood home beneath the Sisters of Nazareth convent is testament to the family trade passed on from father to sons as both carpenters and masons. In the year 2000, just prior to Dr. Dark's excavations, amateur archaeologist Dr. Stephen Shanahan made an academic comparison of the site at the Sisters of Nazareth convent with medium-derived information about the life of Lord Jesus Christ received in the 1930s in Chicago, USA, compiled and published in the 1950s as the Urantia book. Dr. Stephen Shanahan concluded that the Sisters of Nazareth convent site was the best fit for the description given. He particularly noted that two well-preserved stone slabs at the site coincide perfectly with a dining table described at the family home of Lord Jesus Christ in the Urantia book. What a blessing to know more about the life of the compassionate and merciful Son of God, Lord Jesus Christ.
Veganism supports the notion that we cannot and should not justify killing or imposing suffering on any mobile, multisensed being. In my view, veganism or pure ahimsakism, non-violence, is not only consistent with the practice of Jain Dharma, it is required by it. Dr. Sulek Chand Jain, PhD, vegan.
Saintly viewers, thank you for your gracious presence today. May the countless blessings of the divine fill your day.
Be vegan, make peace. Do good deeds, hell not reached.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WAU.
Nasze programy oferują wiele języków. Prosimy zobaczyć suprememastertv.com/schedule oraz suprememastertv.com/WAU